Now in this lesson we work with the surface area of cylinders. Now let's consider this cylinder here. The radius is r and the height h. We need to think of the surface area as being made up of the two lids and the curved surface. So let's write that down. And we come up with the formula SA equals, well, the two lids firstly, that's the top lid and that's the bottom lid if you like, okay? Both of them are circles and the area of a circle is pi r squared. But since we have two of them, let's multiply by 2. So we have 2 pi r squared so far. Then we need to add the curved surface. So that's the surface around the tin if you like, okay? If you think of it a tin. So let's think of it as a tin with a label on it and we're cutting the label off it. So we make a cut there and unwrap it. Right, now that length shown there is the height. So let's mark it in as h. What about this longer length? Well, let's go back to our original diagram there. If we considered it, it's a point, and if we went right around the tin, right, that is pi d, because that is the circumference, all right, the formula pi d. So the curved surface, it has area, length is pi d, the width is h, so the area pi dh, okay, simply multiplying those two measures. Right, let's do some examples now. We need to find the surface area and we need to answer correct to 1 decimal place. There's our formula there, and rather than try to commit that to memory, it's better to consider how we actually arrived at that, okay? So here we go, 2 pi r squared, where the radius is 3, so 2 times pi times 3 squared. Then we add pi dh, okay, d the diameter. So the diameter there is 6 centimeters, okay, double the 3. So the height is 8, so we're adding pi times the 6 times the 8. And when we calculate that, it comes out to be 207.3 square centimeters. It's been rounded off to 1 decimal place. Excellent. We continue with our examples now. In this second one, we need to find the surface area of the exterior of this open container. And we're going to answer correct at 2 decimal places. So the surface area equals, well, it equals the two ends, all right? There's our front end, there's our back end, plus the curved surface, all right? There it is there. Now let's consider the two ends, okay? There's our first end. Well, it's to do with the circle, so we can write pi r squared, okay? The area of a circle, pi r squared. However, certainly not a whole circle, is it? It's only half a circle, so we're going to write the half there. Now, since there are two ends, okay, that was our front end, there's a back end as well, so we're going to times that by 2. Now the curved surface, well, again, we need to think of this, okay, that's the circumference, or certainly part of the circumference of a full circle, so half pi d, okay, pi d would give us the full circumference, we're only dealing with half a circle there. And the height, we call it h. So we multiply those two out, a half pi dh, all right? Because if we were to unwrap those, that would simply be the shape of a rectangle. Now let's multiply through where r, we need to calculate r. We know that the full diameter is 2 meters, that's why r is only 1 meter, it's half it. So we go 2 times a half times pi times 1 squared. And we're adding a half pi dh. So where the diameter is 2 and the height is 3. So we're adding a half times the pi times the 2 times the 3. And let's calculate that. Works out to be 12.57 square meters. It's been rounded off to 2 decimal places. Excellent. Now this was an open container. Alright, an open container. Going to change the question slightly and see what happens. The new question is find the surface area of the exterior of this closed container. Alright, now it's closed. So in other words, it now has a top. Alright, so it now has a top. So everything else remains the same. Let's get rid of the old answer. Everything else remains the same except we need to add on the top. Okay, so we're leaving all that working together, but we're going to add LB, okay, length times breadth, because that top simply is the area of a rectangle. So the L and B, let's add that on. The length is 3, the breadth is 2, so we're adding 3 times 2. So when we do that calculation now, we come up with 18.57 square meters, and that's been rounded off to 2 decimal places. Excellent. Well, that completes our lesson, making sure that when you do your exercise, look out for that, okay, whether the containers are closed or whether they're open.